All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music and politics. Oh no. And doing it in real time for a couple of, maybe a handful of somewhat real people out there just like you and just like me. I want to just thank my patrons. They are the best people. They put up with me. They help the channel because the channel, even though we're closing in on 80K, I might have an 80K video celebration, a gloating 80K video. I don't know. I wasn't supposed to get over 50K, and now I'm maybe going to go over 80. So thank you, Eric Clapton. By the way, a fan of Eric Clapton sent me this CD. His name is Ken Eichler. Forget about me. He's trying to tell me something. No, he's really good. This is blues rock. He's a fan of the channel, discovered the channel thanks to the Eric Clapton interview, and decided to send this along. And I said, okay, I will give you a plug. So here's the plug for Ken Eichler. If you like blues rock, please go check it out. Nothing to lose. The music, I think, is pretty much streaming everywhere. So go ahead and listen to it. Stream it. Put it on repeat stream. All right. So after the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I was scanning the horizon, looking for articles from the so-called rock and roll community, right? To see what their reaction was, because everybody in the world, I did a video, pretty much most people. Now, I know, again, swerving out of the lane, but if you read the description of this channel, I can talk about anything I want to. There are guys that started talking about something and then they moved in a different direction, or they decided to talk about other things, since, like I normally say, it's typically a slow day in the world of classic rock, right? Alice Cooper puts out a new line of mascara. I mean, that's breaking news. But it is on classic. You go to classic rock station websites. Alice Cooper has partnered with a new company to sell his mascara, his creepy line of face paint. Yeah, it just, if that's what floats your boat, if that's gonna get 100,000 views on a video, then make that video. Anyway, so what was the reaction post debate from the rock community, who have so much invested in hating Donald Trump? Now, again, I'm lukewarm to Donald Trump. I am not your number one Trump fan. I am not. I've been there and done that, and I'm very mixed. I'm very lukewarm. I'm not enthusiastic about Donald Trump. But after that debate the other night, a lot of people are saying, you know what? Either you can have a vegetable, which is over here, or you can have the guy who insults people, and pretty much his first 3 years was really good, right? 2017, 2018, 2019 were really good. 2020, and I know people have reasons and stuff, but I'm just putting it out there. 2020, not so much, right? And we won't go into detail here. I've talked about a lot of this in other videos, but I was, again, let me get back to the point I'm trying to make here, is that I was looking for the rock community maybe to say, you know what? Maybe Joe isn't the best representative of the country. Maybe he needs something else. He needs to do something else with his time. Shuffleboard, maybe he needs hospice care. Whatever it is, that debate told us a lot about Joe's cognitive skills. But that doesn't seem to matter to the rock community. This guy from the band Pearl Jam, a band I just love. Give me some Pearl Jam every day, twice on Sundays, right? So we know how Eddie Vedder feels. But then they have this guitarist by the name of Stone Gossard. Stone Gossard was asked if he thinks Donald Trump can become U.S. president again. He responded, I guess it's possible. In a sense, Trump is a performance artist, and there's people that play along with his performance because it suits them in certain ways. All right, full stop here, Stone. Okay, Stone. So pretty much every politician is a performance artist. Full stop. Every politician is a performance artist. Just because Trump probably does it better than most of them, right? It makes, and you guys are performance artists, right? When we go to a show, don't we want a performance? You're a performance artist. Now, like RFK, for instance, he's running for president. I haven't seen one classic rocker. I haven't seen anybody coming out supporting RFK Jr. for president. Woody Harrelson, all right, supports. He's not a musician. I'm sure there are musicians, but it's few and far between. The rock community is still debating Joe Biden. They're still talking about him rather than anyone else. And after that performance, you would think a few of these guys would have a come to Jesus moment, like, no, he can't run the country. No, he probably shouldn't have the nuclear codes. I would say the same thing about Trump or anyone else that has drifted into this area where, he's looking up. He's just like, I mean, it was painful. And I watched some of the post-debate coverage. Did any of these classic rock guys, or just rock guys in general, did any of them watch the post-debate meltdown on all of their favorite channels like MSNBC and CNN? I mean, it was epic. Van Jones, he looked like, I'm telling you, I mean, some of these people might be on suicide watch. I mean, just, they know this is really bad. But this guy from Pearl Jam, all right, seems to be representative of the rock community. So he says Trump is a performance artist. And then you scroll down the article a little bit and asked if he thinks Joe Biden has delivered in his current term as president of the United States. Delivered what? Delivered the mail? Delivered the bad news? I mean, what has Joe Biden delivered? High interest rates, record inflation, a migrant crisis. You've got Democrats in cities who are saying, please don't send any more. We're at capacity. The guy in New York there, he's like, this is a problem. They've got to close the border down. And do they close the border down? No. I mean, you could do it with an executive order. You don't need Congress to do it. In fact, when Biden took office, he opened it up just as fast as Trump had closed it down. And Trump's border wasn't perfect, and he didn't build the wall, and he didn't have Mexico pay for it. He tried for a little while, and he was starting to make some progress, but unfortunately, he lost the 2020 election, right? Some people will say something else about that election. You can't actually even say that here on YouTube, or they correct you, or I don't know what they do. At one point, they were pulling videos down. People thought there was some chicanery going on. You can't say that. It's been certified. Yes. A lot of things have been certified, and they've really sucked. So I don't know. So this guy, Stone, goes on and says, I'm not an expert. This is about if Joe Biden has delivered. I'm an armchair analyst. Okay, he's trying kind of hard to avoid the question a little bit. My guess is that when people look back on it, people look back, like historians, they're going to say that there are some things that he did that weren't being celebrated. Tough to celebrate, Stone. That's his name, Stone. When everything kind of sucks. All right. Just throwing it out there. People, I mean, I live pretty close to this food bank. It's run by St. Matthew's House, and they run it through a very large Catholic church in my town. Tomorrow is the day they do that. And the lane turning into the church backs up for like 2 miles on the main road. And I'm like, okay, and all the traffic is forced off to the left, and then it all jams up because it's supposed to be 3 lanes of traffic. And, it's not anymore. And then people are kind of rubbernecking, looking at this line of cars kind of snaking its way into this parking lot and around. I don't think that was as much of an issue so people are looking for food. You know why they're looking for food? Because when they go to the grocery store, they put 3 bags of groceries in their cart, and or they collect 3 bags worth of groceries, and then it totals up to like $92 or something, and you're like, what did I buy? I'm sorry, folks. Look, again, just for the record, yours truly, I wish we had other choices. And we do. We have RFK, but the major parties are doing this, and it's just ridiculous. Like, you couldn't find better people to run for president. You couldn't do that, right? Because in the primaries, all of a sudden, you couldn't. How could you not challenge Joe Biden in the Democrat primary for president? How did not? I know you had like Marianne Williamson. You had some congressman no one has ever heard of before. I think he ran, and nobody cared. Nobody covered it because the media is all like, oh, it's just Joe Biden. He's doing great. It's great. People are going to celebrate 10, 20 years from now. They're going to celebrate. Wow. Joe Biden, man, he did such a good job running the country into the ground. First time home ownership, record lows, right? Interest rates, stupid. I would never get out of the loan that I'm currently in because I got that loan back in March of 2020. Really low interest rate, 3.2 or something like that. Now they're wanting 6, 7%. And the price of my house went up like 100,000 or 120, 130. So it's good. I got some equity, but all that equity would be just devoured in interest payments if I were to go from here to somewhere else, unless I found a house in another state in a market that was really depressed, and you'd be trading something good for something crappy. And I don't really want to do that. And most Americans don't want to do that. And most Americans don't want to pay $3.50, $4 a gallon. In California, I think it's $5 and $6 for gas per gallon, right? They don't want that. They like the $2 gas that we had in 2019. We liked that. I know that's crazy for some people to understand. They're more concerned about what Donald Trump represents. So, like, he's evil, he's a criminal. Yeah. I'm not going to deny that Trump has some issues there. But you're doing such a crappy job fielding candidates that you're forcing people to say, okay, I'm going to take the guy who was indicted, and then he's got like 34 felonies, and some people will say it's ridiculous and this is election interference, and it's political, and it kind of looks a little political, doesn't it? Kind of looks like, okay, how come you didn't do this to him back in 2016? That would be the first question. If he's guilty of all this stuff, why didn't you do it then? Just get him off the table, get him off the board. Don't let him play the game. But now it's like, oh, he's the nominee, and you've got a guy who is literally almost a corpse. If he doesn't have dementia or Alzheimer's or one of those things, you'll find it. You know what you'll find out here, Stone, 10 years from now, or even sooner than that? That Joe Biden had a real illness. I mean, they did it to Reagan. Remember when toward the end of Reagan's term? Oh, see, we all said that Reagan had a problem. He had onset Alzheimer's. Reagan never embarrassed himself the way Joe Biden. I mean, he was getting a little shaky at the end, and he was on his way out, though. It was like 1988 or something. And yeah, he didn't look so great, but he was done. He couldn't run again. He wouldn't have run again, even if he could have. Biden is running for president again, people. And he's 81 years old. And these rock stars are like, yeah, they're going to remember him fondly. People are going to look back at his presidency and they're going to celebrate all the good things he did. See, they don't live in the same world as the common man and woman who are struggling from day to day. All right. When you've made millions of dollars selling your 10 album or whatever it is, I'm trying to think of Pearl Jam albums, and I probably got that wrong, but it's because I love Pearl Jam so much and I just forget. You don't have to worry about this stuff. I mean, you've got disposable income. If you put some money away and you invest it a little bit, you're set for life. Most of us live week to week or month to month. Some people live day to day. And so economic policies matter. We don't want to hear about what the guy did 30 years ago. We really don't. I mean, that is a factor. And I wish we would kind of look at somebody with some morals and some values and some decency. But Americans typically now just, they don't care about that. And the internet just picks people apart anyway. They'll find one little thing and they'll amplify it and they'll say it over and over again. They'll hire people to tell you this over and over again. And then at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I thought that guy was Billy Graham. Turns out he's Charles Manson. Who knew, right? Just thank you, internet. So anyway, this is what the rock community thinks. Post-debate, the rock community responds post-debate and gives us their real thoughts on Joe Biden. And it's really about Donald Trump and how they can't stand the guy. He's a performance artist. Okay. 90% of politics is performance art. Wish it wasn't that way. It's been that way for quite some time. Ronald Reagan was known as the great communicator. He was an actor. He was well trained to be president of the United States. And, you know, we've had other presidents that are really great public speakers. JFK comes to mind, even Nixon to some degree, even though, you know, he wasn't a crook and he had to leave. But I don't know, in my lifetime, look, people tend to gravitate towards people that they can relate to. And that's an important point here. Do people relate to Joe Biden and his story? Do they relate to his life? And he's changed his views over time. You know, Joe Biden probably in the 1980s was a pro-life guy, I'm pretty sure. Just think about it. And a lot of those guys were back in those days. That was something that politically was a winner. Now it's like doomsday if you say that you're pro-life. So in any event, folks, those are a few thoughts on the situation. If you learned anything from this video, it's probably the fact that the rock community doesn't relate to most people. Like their life doesn't, it's not parallel to your life at all. And they look at things in such a weird way. Like Trump's a performance artist. No critique, though, of Joe Biden and his health and his mental acuity and all of that. No critique of that. Just people will celebrate the things that he did. I don't think so. People never really celebrated the things that Jimmy Carter did. Jimmy Carter, by the way, last time I heard, very close to being the very end for Jimmy Carter. So pray for him and his family, because I think he's well into his 90s, like late 90s. He did a lot of good, Jimmy Carter, after his presidency. I will say that. Habitat for Humanity, and never ran for president again. That was a relief, right? He got beat pretty bad. And typically when people get beat pretty bad, they don't try again. I was really surprised that Al Gore never ran for president again, since I think he lost by like 500 votes or something because of Florida. The Supreme Court, Dave, they fixed that for George W. Bush. Maybe, I don't know. Doesn't matter now, does it? Who knows? Maybe it would have been better. Maybe we wouldn't have had, wars in, 3 countries after all that happened at 9/11. We should have had just one retaliation. Instead, we had like 3 wars that happened. So I think I've talked way too long on politics, but see, I tried to integrate that with the music commentary with this guy from Pearl Jam. And so maybe somebody should say to him, hey, do you care about the working class, the people that are really struggling out here? Because we're not celebrating anything. And I don't think we're going to celebrate anything 5 or 10 years from now. All right. Here is Ken Eichler. Ken, good job, buddy. Forget About Me. It's an album about my channel. Thanks for watching. YouTube memberships, Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is doing well. I kind of wish Patreon was doing as well as Buy Me a Coffee. They're both doing pretty good, and I have very loyal patrons. So I thank the patrons that have been with me and stay with me. I think that's really the key. I've had people patronizing me for years, which I don't really deserve. So I thank them for that, but I wish some other folks would come along and maybe help them a little bit and help me. But God bless everyone. Pray for this election. Pray, you know what? Pray for President Biden, right? I know this is going to sound a little upside down after what I just said, but pray for President Biden. Oh, man, that guy needs your prayers because he's a mess and his health is bad and he shouldn't be the president. He should be just taking care of himself. Seriously. At some point, some people just can't continue with a job because of health reasons. And he's got probably the most important job in the world. And so I'm thinking he should step away. That's what I'm thinking. So there you go. Pray for the president. God bless everyone. And I will see you soon.